It's Friday, the 15th of October. There's a bit of an anomaly with the ACT that they were at 97.7% first dose, and today they're at 97.1%. So I don't know whether there was some adjustments that they made or whether today they've made a mistake. I noticed that Queensland's first dose didn't move. In fact, I think it went backwards on their first dose, but they're on track. They went down for second dose, and I think South Australia slowed down too. Northern Territory picked up by a day, and WA picked up by 2 days. So they jumped 2 days. They're doing a good steady 20,000 a day injections. Northern Territory still haven't got to 70% first dose, but one more day and they'll be there. Now it gets a bit strange when you get into the 80% doses, because Queensland are 23 days 70% double dosed, but 24 days 80% single dosed, and then they just really fall behind after that. I don't really understand why that would be the case. I mean, why? No, yeah, I think they just basically have fallen behind. So I was pretty upset about the announcement from the new Premier in New South Wales, opening up to people coming in from overseas. It sounded like he was saying tourists can come in and all that, but the Sco Mo just announced that they're not letting everybody flood into the country through New South Wales. It's only going to be Australian nationals, just people returning to Australia. But even so, that's going to put pressure on the other states, because they may return via New South Wales, but then where are they going to go? They don't live in New South Wales, and there's no hotel quarantining anymore. So where are they going to live? And they're going to be pressuring to get back into West Australia when they're a high-risk area. So, and then you've got ACT is opening to New South Wales in 3 days, into the regions anyway. The one good bit of news is the regions are staying close to the city, because I was concerned about that. And they are mindful that there are pockets that are not up to 80%, and they're taking into consideration that the other states are not at 80%. We weren't supposed to be letting any overseas travellers in until everybody was at 80%. And I think that actually should be everybody, like all the little pockets in all the states are at 80%. Because you can still have a pretty big outbreak, like in Victoria, you got 2,000, and I think that in the Hunter region in New South Wales, their biggest outbreak is just there. So I haven't heard anything about them locking that area down. I presume they're in a lockdown. Tasmania have talked about maybe having a localised lockdown. I haven't got the information on that because I went out, so I'm a bit behind with this. So that's where we're at, and it definitely looks like we could be opening for Christmas, but I'm still waiting on Matt McGowan's and Queensland's views on, and I don't think they're going to be making any announcements until we get to 80%. They're not even going to say until they get to 80% double dosed. But they do have some real live data that they can feed in from the ACT and New South Wales opening up to each other. So they can see real live data on what the impact would be for them to open up when they get to 80%. But I think it probably would be a good idea to not open until you're at 95% single dosed. But I think once everybody gets to 80%, the pressure is going to be on. They might have to lock out the areas that are below par. They might say, you can come here, but you can't go there because they're only at 50% in that region. That might be a way to do it. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Because he's done it before. Mark McGowan has cut off the city from the regions. Which was a bit of a shame because we were going to take the camper van and go out on a trip around the outer part of WA. But when they shut down the regions, we weren't able to do that. I'm not sure we actually would have gone out, but we was definitely considering it. So anyway, I'm a bit late with this because we went out to do some shopping and I've only just got back. So I was a little bit nervous about what was happening with New South Wales, and Sco Mo has put the brakes on that. They must have had a discussion with everybody and come to an arrangement. It's like, just because they're opening doesn't mean we have to. I'll probably hear a bit more about what other people think, because I think they sidelined Victoria and the ACT who were giving their updates, and they weren't aware what New South Wales had just announced. I've got to go.